Welcome, Non Obvious Nation, to a very special episode of the Non Obvious Insights Show and part of our Beyond Diversity Summit. I am your host, Rohit Bhargava, and I'm so excited to have this conversation right now with an amazing personality. You are absolutely going to love this interview. My guest today is Stacey Campbell, who is a professional musician, a vocalist, and has performed with some of the biggest names in music: Pink, Cher, Tina Turner, Janet Jackson. I mean, she has had an amazing career and continues to have an amazing career today. And I'm so excited to welcome her. So, Stacey, welcome to the show.
Hi, Rohit. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to know, when you got started in this industry, and one of the things that you have done for many years is you have supported and been a background vocalist for these amazing legendary performers. And I want to know, how do you get selected to do that? Do you know someone who recommends you to then get in? Is it just is it like an American Idol style audition where they kind of watch you and give you like written note down like, oh, she was pretty good, like I think she would work? Like, how do you get the gig?
Yeah. You know, I mean, this is a summit on diversity, and I imagine all the different ways that one person ends up on a stage working for an artist are equally as diverse. My own story was I had gone to the Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. And upon graduating, my one of my dear friends and roommates at the time had just got a record deal. Her name is Layla Hathaway, and she did something really amazing, I think, as a debut artist when she went to go out on tour. Instead of picking up a band that's well established or musicians that have been in the industry for a very long time, she invited a bunch of fellow students, recent graduates of Berklee, to join her on tour. And so that's really how I first began my professional singing career. Um, and then from there, it was a series of different auditions. I worked with Al Jarreau, um, and who is the jazz singer from the 80s, in jazz. And he had asked us, after working with Layla, to join him on his tour. So, but then there was a series, like I auditioned for the Janet gig way back in the 90s. I was horrible at auditioning. So they're like the nerve,
What
horrible.
now? What does that mean when you say you were horrible at like? Does that mean
Oh my
like what
gosh.
I think it means, where your voice like cracks in the middle of singing, or is it like something
No.
else besides that?
Yeah, it's just, am I going to remember the words? I mean, your
Oh
voice
yeah, the
is
words. Yep.
sticking. It's like, the student that is like freaked out about taking an exam. It's just so funny. When you're on stage or just making music, it's all the same thing, right? As you're learning or as you're performing, it's really the same thing, but when the pressure is on, that the voice just sort of quivers a little bit. So anyway, all throughout college, I just didn't get anything I auditioned for. And but I just kept at it, and
Was
my
that it? Was that the secret? Just persevere until you get the break?
I would say for sure. I mean, I think where anything where creativity and innovation and discovery is involved, there's going to be a whole lot of people who don't understand what you're reaching for. There's going to be a whole lot of people who will disagree or believe that something cannot be done, created, achieved. And so I think perseverance is above all um, something that you need to have in sports, in just about anything, I would think. Um, yeah. So, but as far as getting your foot in the door, or with music, I think also there's an element that is sort of just like any other line of work, which would be word of mouth. And so
Yeah.
after a series of auditions and working with different artists, eventually people will say, "Ooh, I have just the right person for this position, for this role, for how
Yep.
that works like that. I think that works in any other job. And so then, you know, on top of perseverance, maybe a little bit of ethics or your professional, how you carry yourself in the world as a person, as a professional. Those things really come into play.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that was interesting that I think I remember reading either it was a quote from you or it was about kind of your experience, and I think it was related to the team, the kind of the intentional team of musicians that Pink had put together around around her, and how that's an extension of herself, like how that's like an extension of her self identity and the way that she produces music. And like, how much do you think that is the way that an ensemble is put together with like the musicians and the vocalists and everybody who's part of a show? Does the person who's kind of the front person, the lead performer, say, okay, I want like somebody like this and somebody like that, and are they very intentional about it, or does is it someone else, is it like a casting director who says, here's your team, here's who you're going to work with?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that depends on the artist. I've worked with certain artists. Say, for example, when I auditioned for Janet, um, I went through a series of auditions with, say, the musical director. Then maybe the musical director was there and the choreographer was there. And it wasn't really until the final round of auditions that we actually auditioned in front of Janet Jackson. You know, I mean, perhaps they videotaped some things and she sort of had some input that way. I know that there have been some artists I've worked with that just love music and want to make music with good musicians, aren't particularly picky about, you know, I want this look or I want this sound. You know, they'll sort of will just create it on stage. I'm thinking of Joe Cocker, who I worked with, and he's worked with tons of different musicians. And I think really, say for him as an artist, he really enjoyed what the individual was bringing to the stage. He wasn't particularly looking for something specific.
Hmm.
He wanted to work with what he had, you know. And then you
Yeah.
work with somebody like Cher or Tina Turner, I think would be a great example of somebody who has a very specific idea of what she wants her stage and the performers on it to look like, how they want to, you know, even down to like hair color or like, you know, how she wants them to be presented on stage. She had a very specific image of what she was trying to create on stage.
Hmm. And when you do come to that sort of image, how important have you found it in the past, either for the artist or the musical director, to think at that point about diversity and inclusion, like about putting those people on stage, putting all these musicians on stage, and having them all look different or represent different groups? Is that
Yeah,
a part of the process, or is it that only like a recent thing?
that's a great question. That's a great question. I mean, I feel personally very fortunate that I've worked with artists like Cher and like Pink, who are who the soapbox that they stand on um, is about diversity. It is about inclusion, you know, and so the the picture that they're painting on stage, it's important to them that it is a picture of diversity. You know, I guess I could probably say the same for Janet, um, but certainly with Cher and certainly with Pink, very important. And I know that that was a very important element to what they were trying to project.
And when you do get involved in a project and you're not the lead person, how much input do you typically get? Like, can you come to them and say, "Look, we're missing this sound, or we're missing this type of person," or you know, "I think this show would be really great if you did this," or is it sort of,
I
"Here's the
got
script, you gotta follow it, like this, you know, your job's not to come up with it, your job's to,
it.
you know, do your job."
Yeah, yeah. That is a very delicate balance in the professional world, isn't it? I think with any line of work, especially maybe with, especially more so with creative people. Everybody has a great idea. Everybody has a vision. Everybody in music is affected by a particular song or particular artist's category in different ways, and has a feeling or an image about how that should look, right? So I have tons of great ideas, right? But I think I think being a professional and having diplomacy or maybe discretion, those things that just come along with um, professional line of work, and really in anything. I think maybe
Yeah,
you
and
make
maybe
moments of where you're gonna give some input, and perhaps somebody will ask for that, and then maybe some will say, I don't want to hear what you have to say. And
yeah, and I
it,
think, I mean,
I think
to some
reading the
degree,
room is important. Yeah.
reading the room is very important. Yes, and I think that to some degree maybe experience factors in here. I mean, when
Sure.
you've built a body of work, you have a reputation. People presumably treat you with a certain amount of respect when you go into a situation. Now, hopefully, because you've earned it. And so maybe you get asked for that type of feedback, or at least you're considered for that type of feedback, more than maybe somebody who's just starting out, who hasn't built that reputation for themselves yet.
Hmm.
When you think about your journey in music,
Mm.
do you feel like your success has been a story of overcoming bias, overcoming something, or do you feel like it was just a story of kind of perseverance and taking your talent and being recognized for it?
Hmm. Hmm. I think um, my personal journey was more of perseverance. Um, I am well aware that there are millions of talented singers and musicians in the world, and you would think, oh, timing, oh, luck, and maybe timing does have play a role, um, but luck. I don't know about luck. I think I think you have to put in the work. I think that, as I was saying earlier, there'll be a lot of people who don't see it, don't see what you have. And you have to see what you have. And you have to be able to believe in the vision that you are creating. Um, I have a 15-year-old daughter, and I say to her a lot, I say, you only really need to know what you want to do and why you want to do it. And the how and the when and the where, all sort of, yeah, there she is, all sort of find their way to you. If you put in the work, if you are disciplined with it, if you're consistent, if you are a student of whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, a student of music. I said for years, I said, I think I'll be a student of music for the rest of my life. There's so much to
And
learn,
does
so
she want to
persevere.
get into music? Does she like music, your daughter?
She has a lot of different interests, so I support her with whatever she tries to do. She's interested in acting, um, but but I also want her to just be wide with her view, because
Yeah, it's
there's,
so
there's
important.
so much out there, and she's 15, and the more she experiences the world, who knows where that'll lead her.
Yeah, look, I have kids around the same age as, and I
Mm.
believe that the same thing. I mean, it's so important to give them the chance to do that. And
Mhm.
as you think about, I mean, if we could turn the lens to the parenting side a little bit, one of the things that I know I've struggled with as a parent is we live in a world right now where there are people who have achieved success by doing the thing that we don't tell our kids to do, being assholes, not having talent and being auto-tuned to have talent.
Mhm.
There are people who get success who, I mean, not that I'm the person who should judge this, but they don't seem to deserve it. But they're still successful. Um,
Mhm.
do you talk about that with your daughter? Do you explain that to her, or at least say, look, I mean, as a professional musician, I'm sure you've been around people who have achieved something, and you kind of look at them and you hear them singing without any fixing, and you're like, how is this person so recognized? You're not going to name any names, obviously, but
Mhm.
I'm sure you've had that experience at some point. So, like, how do you think about that, and how do you maybe explain that to your daughter, or do you?
Yeah. I so Tina Turner, Janet Jackson, Joe Cocker, Cher, and Pink, even though Pink is, of a different generation than a lot of those folks that I just mentioned, they all work so hard at their craft. They're all so committed to it, and they've all taken a long road to get to where they are. So, you know, YouTube, I think, has advantages and is here to stay, and has produced a lot of people that sort of came from their bedrooms to massive stages and arenas. And so, what I would say to my daughter, as far as that goes, is great, good for them, timing, right? They've got good timing. Maybe they have tapped into something that people are interested in, or maybe it will even become something that changes and shapes the sound of music, right now in the world, right? And maybe that sound is necessary, or maybe that their message is needed right now. Okay, so that's fine. But I think the advantage of taking the long road, or to taking your time, is is the what you acquire along the way, the strength of character, the resolve, the ethics, the appreciation for the journey. I think gets lost, when it just sort of happens out of nowhere, and you see sort of these people that have reached these levels of um, fame uh, so quickly, and just haven't really even developed their own character. They're not even quite sure who they are as a person. And now they're thrust into this thing where where I think without that learning, there's a real struggle, you know. Um, So I
Mm.
just really try to talk to my daughter about that, like taking your time with something, really digging into something, really understanding it, and on a soul level, how does it speak to you as a person, and then how do you want to project yourself and what you're trying to do in the world, um, as a whole human. The
Yeah.
singer is just the singer and the song is just the song, but the person who's delivering the message, um, I think that I don't know, I think that there's importance to that.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I mean, as a professional musician, but also as a musician of color, do you see your role now as someone who's now been in the industry for, more than 20 years, which probably sounds like a shocking amount of time when you think about it. Do you see your role as a musician of color to mentor younger musicians into this world? Is that a big part of what you spend time on?
Um, I my experience, what I really have wanted to do with music is share music. I really feel that music is a healing art, and that the experience of music is cathartic, and powerful. And so my journey as a professional musician has been more connecting with the audience and people who just sort of feel that maybe the words speak to them, and that the moment, or the magic of the moment of being in a live concert, has changed their life in some way. That maybe they came to that show in a desperate situation, and um, that having that connection with somebody on stage, me connecting with somebody on stage, in the audience, um, has made them feel seen, and that maybe that it's going to be okay, and that the message and the music is that they're going to be all right, and that it's going to be okay, whatever they happen to be going through. So as far as a mentor for people that are up and coming in the industry, um, that hasn't really been a focus of mine. I hope that young musicians will sort of look at the things that I've done, and that will be inspirational to them. But my message is more about the music and about reaching people, reaching out to people. I actually am right now going back to school for a master's in music therapy, because I just feel that the message of music is as a healing message, and so that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to do.
I've definitely, I mean, I think many people have found that to be true. I mean, there are certain songs that I put on to change my mood, to elevate my mood, and to do that. And we've all sort of done that. I saw a funny, somewhat funny story that I think you might appreciate of a playlist. This was one of the stories that I shared in my newsletter this week. There was a series of playlists from a pasta company, Barilla, that last exactly as long as you're supposed to cook pasta. So now you can listen to the music and you know how long to cook your pasta.
That's
So like,
brilliant.
yeah, I know, right? So like
That's
even
great.
it's useful, right? It's, yeah, it lifts your mood, but there's also like some utility here. So like there's
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
different aspects of it. um
That's
now I
really
know,
cool.
yeah, yeah, it is. I know you're a big supporter and you do a lot for the LGBTQ community as well, and that's an important part of your identity. I wonder if you could talk about that and just talk about how your identity or any musician's identity sort of comes into the music that they create, and how important that is.
Yeah. I mean, inclusion, acceptance, that what I was saying about like, that that people are seen, you know, just for the beautiful humans that they are, you know, that their message heard, that they feel accepted and worthy and important, um, and loved and lovable, you know. Um, that's that's uh, that's my hope and my wish for everyone. Um, I 20 years ago, when I began, when I started in the industry, um, you know, coming out as gay or lesbian wasn't really the thing. I mean, there was a lot of struggle, say, with R&B artists, who were supposed to come off as, being masculine and, you know, the ladies' man, but we're struggling because their own personal identities were they identified as a gay man, and just what a horrible way to have to live, but um so I'm grateful that times have changed. I came out in the 90s, and it wasn't easy. I lost a lot of friends along the way. A lot of people fell off, but I gained my freedom, and I gained my voice, and I found a way to express myself, and be accepted and be loved and be able to share who I am, my whole self, um, with the world, and I found it to be a wonderful experience, and so working with artists again like Cher, like um, Pink, and really all of them, that were so open, and that do a lot for the gay community, LGBTQ community. Is yeah, is it just makes me feel so proud to be able to be a part of that, to be a part of that voice.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I love the perspective that it gives you, and the fact that you're now studying and going to do music therapy. I mean, I think that's an important part of how we're going to be able to be kind of well-adjusted humans in the future. And you
Mhm.
see more and
Yeah.
more examples of people doing that, like turning to music, turning to sound, turning to audio, like
Mhm.
on many different levels. I mean, whether it's the rise of ASMR type videos and things like
Yeah.
that to help relax people through
Yeah.
to just how popular audiobooks are and the audio experience and podcasts and everything like that. I think we're rediscovering the beauty of what we listen to. And that's
Mm.
a powerful thing. And I think you're in the midst of that, which is really amazing. So I just want to say thank you for
Mhm.
all of the things that you've been doing and what you're putting out in the world. It's fantastic.
Oh, thanks. I'm still gonna perform. I still love performing, and I do enjoy that. But yeah, I thought I thought, yeah, music therapy would be a nice graceful transition to take what I know, is the power of music, off the stage and into a healing environment. Yeah.
And so is that what's next for you? I mean, I know the music industry itself and performing on stages, and I mean, all of that's changed in the last year with us not being able to do that. And so we've seen some musicians really adapt to it and create their home studio and just start creating
Yeah.
content and just playing from home.
Yeah.
We've seen others. I mean, you're going in the direction of creating like music therapy and kind of having your pivot. What has the last year been like for you? And then I want to kind of close our conversation just by having you share some lessons that you've learned out of that.
Mhm. Yeah, what a year. Um, you know, when we first heard about everything with the pandemic and everything that was happening, I'm in America, and we had an election year going on too, and that was really something. Um, but you know, I mean, the one I thought, and it sounds like a horrible word, but I just kept thinking, it's an opportunity for us on a global level, for human beings on a global level, to pause and to really take a moment to see what really is important for us as human beings, and then how we want to express our humanity in the world, right? So I'm an artist, right? I make music, and we weren't allowed to, bring that, to people. But like you said, these people who would create these online concerts, to still reach people, in the world. Um, I just really felt like this was a good moment for everybody to really feel and adjust what it is like to be human. What is the human experience? How do we want to be in the world? How do we want to be with each other in the world? How do we want to experience our lives in the world? And then express that, to the fullest that we can. Um, and so it was a strange world. In one word, I thought 2020 was bizarre, right? It just was bizarre. It leveled everybody. I mean, everybody was home. Um, Nobody was working.
Yeah.
Everybody had to, adjust themselves in their own environment. Everybody had to reassess, how they wanted to interact with everybody in the world. People lost people. Everybody um, felt that pain. I think.
Yeah.
Um, so so now here we are. It's 2021, and yeah, we're still in the middle of this. And yes, we will see the other side of this, and hopefully we'll all be healthy, and hopefully the things that we did learn with this opportunity to take a breath and stop. Hopefully we won't forget. Hopefully we'll carry those
Yeah.
things with us forward. And I don't know, and make a better world for our kids and for ourselves.
That's great. Powerful powerful words and great closing words too. I feel like we're at the end of the concert where you can just take the mic and be like, "Yep, there you go. We did it." Listen, I want to say thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. Stacey Campbell, everyone, a professional musician, amazing talent, and really a great voice talking about diversity and inclusion in music. Thank you so much for joining us, Stacey.
Thanks, Rohit. It was my pleasure.
You've been watching an interview as part of the Non-Obvious Insights Show and the Beyond Diversity Summit. If you'd like to check out more videos and interviews like this, go to nonobviousdiversity.com to watch the entire segment of videos from this summit, where we talk about all genres, genders, and geographies, everything about diversity you could ever want to talk about, all in one place. I hope you can join us there. I hope you can check out some of those additional videos. I am your host, Rohit Bhargava. Thank you for joining me. And remember to always stay non-obvious.